Welcome to this week's TDD Weekly Report for the week ending January 22nd. I had two more people that submitted to me their innovations in vlogging, so let me read them off before I get started with the next subject. First one came from my friend High Country. He said, "Very nice report, Chuck. In the kayaking world, the GoPro camera has got to be the biggest innovation. It's not vlogging, but what I want most nowadays." Yeah, I agree with that. The GoPro is one of those cameras that everybody wants, along with the Contour. I've had experience with both of them because two people I know own both of those cameras, and they're both great cameras, and I would really love to have one of the two of those if I could, or both if I had the money. Second one comes from Cosmic Truth Network, my friend Joe. Mine was using a weatherproof action cam on my bicycle, which my friend rode for me. I believe since I lost so much weight, I will do more videos like that riding the bike myself. Yeah, weatherproof cameras is the other thing. The GoPro, along with the Kodak Play Sport, and I think there's even a couple of others probably that I'm not aware of. But yeah, having weatherproof cameras if you're a vlogger is very important, especially on a bicycle or a motorcycle. That helps quite a bit. So next up, this subject is one that is very near and dear to my heart because when I was about, I think 11 years old, my father clipped an article out of a newspaper because he knew I was really big into science, and it was an article at the time, I think this would be 1967, that I saw this, where the scientists were actually thinking of using artificial insemination from a frozen male mammoth to actually inseminate a female African elephant and have it carry to term possibly baby mammoth. So at the time they did not realize, because it was such a new thing, they didn't realize the destruction of the DNA that happens when something freezes. So they gave it a try, but that was one of those ideas that kind of tried and failed. Well, now there's a new idea, and this is an idea that was first brought up by Dr. Wakayama, is the best I could pronounce his name, and what he did was he actually froze a mouse for 16 years and then extracted from the center part of the DNA of the cell and cloned a mouse successfully using the DNA from the frozen cell, even with the damage and everything. And the doctor that's going to actually try to perform this is called Dr. Iritani. Now, this article that I'm talking about right now is one I read out of PCMag.com, and I'll put the link to the article on down there, but you can also just go to Google News or Yahoo News and type in Woolly Mammoth, and you'll get probably hundreds and hundreds of articles on this in case you did miss it. But anyway, the basic thing behind this technique is now they can take DNA that's been partially destroyed by freezing and still get a successful clone in up to about 30% of the cases. Now they're using it in cattle as a test subject, and in 30% of the cases they do get a successful live birth. They're talking about in 3 to 5 years actually having this take place. Other people are saying it's more like maybe 10 years and about $10 million to put into this project to have it happen. And just to let you know, a woolly mammoth is a very close relative of an African elephant, so close that they think there would be no problem at all with an African elephant actually carrying the baby. And just to give you an example too about the size, mammoth size is about 13.1 feet tall and 8 tons, and an African elephant is approximately 10 to 13 foot tall and 5.5 to 7 tons, so they're very similar. And by the tooth structure, they think too the animals were very similar in what they ate and the type of grazing they did. Whereas the other mammal that was an elephant type of mammal that was roaming the plains 10, 11,000 years ago was called a mastodon, and that had pointed teeth, not grinding teeth, so they think it was a browsing elephant type of animal. And as a matter of fact, first, before I get on to the next part of it, Navy Thomas was the one that actually sent this in, and he also sent in a link to the next thing I'm going to talk about. That's woolymammoth.org. That is an organization up in the Kenosha, Wisconsin County area through the Historical Society that has a dig up there to where they've discovered ancient, I guess they call them not Clovis Indians, what do they call? Well, anyway, the early Indian settlers that were up there about maybe 11,000 years ago. It's actually a place where they were butchering mammoths and mastodons at the time, and they show a lot of butchering tools, and they show the site in they've recovered bones that have evidence of butchering on them, and that is probably about an hour north of where I live, and there's also additional other sites, maybe about 4 sites in the northern Illinois area. So these are all within about an hour drive of me, and hopefully maybe when the weather turns warmer I can get up there and actually maybe see either in the Historical Society, or maybe if I'm fortunate enough maybe I could actually get a chance to see the site, or maybe volunteer and work for the day on the site. But that's woolymammoth.org up in the Kenosha County, Wisconsin area, and I'll put a link to that below too. Last up, a friend of mine named Chris that I used to ride with back here. Now he's not so much into YouTube, but he does send me emails with different topics from time to time. He's out in Colorado now, and he sent me this by email. It's a 1930 Henderson, and I'll start flipping through the pictures here. It's the Henderson motorcycle. For a lot of you that don't know, there were three original motorcycle manufacturers that were considered the big three up until about 1930. That was Harley-Davidson, Henderson, and Indian. And unfortunately, Henderson did not make it through the Depression era. They went under because of the economy and everything, but they were one of the three big motorcycles. And to give you an idea, I'm including a picture here of what this Henderson looks like before this guy modified it. But what he did was he took it and put kind of a shell around it and gave it an Art Deco kind of look, which is really cool. But the original Henderson is an inline four-cylinder engine, and I thought it was kind of cool what this guy took his time and did to modify it and everything. So anyway, take care, everybody. I hope you have a good week. I will catch you next week.